Welcome back to Leadership Rehearsal. I'm Alex, and I am so glad you're here. Last week, we kicked off our first rehearsal by auditing the balance between the mechanics of managing and the influence of leading. We looked at where your time actually goes and whether that balance is intentional or reactive. As we discovered, Harvard Business School research shows that today's leaders need to do both. Now, I wanted to start here because this season, we're really going to dive into the high ROI work that falls under the management bucket, all of the essential work of managing people that often gets overlooked or avoided. The goal is to strengthen your comfort and skills in these areas so that management becomes your differentiator, not something you shy away from. So let me ask you, how did your audit go? If you're comfortable, share what you noticed in the comments. I'm so curious to see what came up for you, and you never know, I may respond or include your comments in a future episode. Well, here's my follow-up question. How much of that time was spent on things like approving time off, firefighting, or crisis management? It's okay if this took up a big chunk of your time. That's real life. And honestly, that's why we're in rehearsal, to build this awareness and strengthen the muscles that don't always get exercised. Look, that work matters. It keeps the machine running, but truthfully, that's low ROI. It maintains momentum without necessarily moving the team forward. When reactive tasks dominate, burnout rises and teams feel overwhelmed. If you want balance, trust, and sustained performance, we need a different lens, our people. How are we supporting their growth, their careers, and honestly, do we even know what those things are for them? I know this may sound counterintuitive. Everything feels like it's on fire, and I'm asking you to slow down and focus on your people? Correct. Today, we're focusing on the core muscle that enables high ROI leadership, relationship building. Let's dive into rehearsal. When I say relationship building, I often see leaders pull back. There's this fear that if you get too close, you'll lose your authority. But the data and lived experience tell a very different story. Gallup has consistently found that employees who feel their supervisors care about them as a person are significantly more likely to be engaged at work. Look, this isn't about being everyone's best friend. It's about being known and truly knowing your people. And when I say knowing your people, I'm not talking about surface level facts like favorite colors or weekend plans. Those are fine and they do have their place, but they're not the work. The work is understanding what drives them, where they want to grow, and what they're working toward in the next phase of their career. In my time in HR, I've seen leaders try to outsource these moments. They ask their business partner to deliver tough feedback. They rely on culture committees to fix engagement. They want scripts, templates, or committees to make leadership feel easier, as if outsourcing will solve their deficiencies. Now listen, I'm going to talk out of both sides of my mouth for a moment. Engagement committees do exist. I've been a part of them, led them, and loved them. They absolutely matter at the organizational level. But your team's engagement, that belongs to you. In fact, those committees are often just measuring the outcomes of your leadership practice. That's one metric that we look at to identify highly effective leaders. So here's the truth. You are leading human beings, not roles, not headcount. People with aspirations, hobbies, families, and long-term goals. And let's be honest, the idea that someone will spend their entire career in one role or one company is a story from a different generation. Today's workforce moves faster. Many early career professionals change roles every few years, not because they're disloyal, but because growth is expected. When I've seen star employees begin to disengage, leaders often try to fix it by throwing more compensation at them. And yes, fair pay matters, but alone it won't keep them. Growth, development, and feeling genuinely seen by their leader is often the deciding factor. Compensation might bring them in, but you are the reason they stay or go. Look, your job isn't to keep people indefinitely. Your job is to help them grow while they're with you. When you take the time to understand who they are and where they want to go, you're unlocking one of the most meaningful and most human parts of leadership. This is exactly why relationship building isn't a nice to have. It's a leadership essential. When leaders operate in constant reactive mode through firefighting and only dealing with what today throws at them, they're unintentionally accelerating burnout and turnover. Research from SHRM and broader workforce studies show that it takes an average of 36 to 42 days to fill an open role in the US. And new hires often need 3 to 8 months to reach full productivity depending on the complexity of the role. When leaders neglect proactive investment in their people, they risk creating the very fires they're trying to avoid, turnover, and the heavy lift of recruiting and onboarding. You can spend your time building relationships now, or you can spend twice as much time rebuilding your team later. Either way, the choice is yours. The easiest way that I found to visualize relationship building is through the idea of a relationship bank account. This is a concept popularized by Stephen Covey. You have an individual account with every single person you interact with. Every interaction either adds to the balance, subtracts from it, or keeps it neutral. Deposits are the actions that build trust and strengthen the relationship. These include following through on commitments, actively listening, having growth conversations, or checking in on your team's goals and aspirations. Even casual conversation can be an initial deposit, like asking what someone did over the weekend, celebrating a small win, or noticing an achievement. But if that's the extent of your interaction over time, those casual deposits can plateau and become neutral. They'll maintain the account without building additional trust or depth. Neutral interactions neither add nor subtract capital. They are the routine or transactional moments, like confirming a meeting, sending an update, or asking a simple yes or no question. They're going to keep the account stable, but don't increase trust. Think of it like the monthly minimum you have to meet so your account doesn't incur a fee. Withdrawals are the actions that take away capital. Every leader will inevitably make withdrawals, delivering tough feedback, making difficult decisions without input, or missing commitments. Withdrawals are necessary and unavoidable because leadership includes holding people accountable and making choices that aren't always popular. The key is that you've built enough deposits in advance so your withdrawals don't erode trust. There is no scenario where you don't have to make withdrawals. It's simply part of your role. So that means relationship capital is essentially the trust balance you've accumulated. It's the buffer that allows you to lead through challenges, have uncomfortable conversations, and make decisions that aren't universally popular, all while keeping your team confident in your leadership. Building this capital deliberately ensures that your relationships are resilient, even when you need to make withdrawals. For example, imagine you need to make a quick decision that directly impacts your team, but you don't have time to get their input. Let's say this decision could be unpopular. If you've been consistently making deposits into your account, your team is more likely to trust you. They might think, Alex usually brings us into this. There must be a reason why he didn't this time. They might not 100% be on board immediately, but they know you have their best interests at heart. You've made a necessary withdrawal without eroding trust. Look, I've been in this situation myself and was able to navigate it because of the trust I built over time. It wasn't luck or some secret leadership sauce. It was consistent investment before and after the decision. What about if your bank account is low? That same withdrawal can quickly erode trust, especially if that decision is unpopular. Your team might think, Alex always does this, he never checks in, and now we have more work. That tension is unnecessary and completely avoidable when capital has been built intentionally. I want to revisit feedback for a moment. Feedback is an initial withdrawal, but how it lands and how much of a withdrawal depends on you. Regular, clear, and actionable feedback has the potential to build capital, but before giving it, ask yourself, have I earned enough trust with this person to say this? Where I've seen things go off the rails quickly is on the delivery. And let me tell you, feedback that is rough, unvalidated, overly critical, and not well prepared is going to deplete your account so quick. The good news is that the inverse is also true. When you deliver feedback that is thoughtful and with care, that initial withdrawal turns into a deposit because now you're strengthening trust and influence over time with this individual. We're going to spend more time on feedback in future episodes, so consider this a seed that I'm planting. Finally, a warning. Now a warning, bonus points if you know where that's from. All the capital that you've built can be lost in an instant if you don't follow through. Lip service is going to cost you, and it's going to cost you everything. Your team is going to notice if you're checking a box or if you genuinely are investing in them as individuals. You cannot fool people when it comes to trust. Simply put, without trust, even small interactions become heavy lifts. All right, we've made it to my favorite part of the episode, the solo rehearsal. As a reminder, I've included a link to a free worksheet in the episode description. This worksheet walks you through each step so you don't have to hold everything in your head. As you might have guessed, we're going to audit the bank account of one specific direct report. What I would like you to do is to choose one person on your team and focus on them right now. Step 1, identify the blocker. Before you engage, pause and ask yourself, what's been getting in the way of building a stronger relationship with this person? Is it fear of what they might say, a lack of time, that familiar discomfort with vulnerability? Be honest with yourself and pinpoint exactly what's stopping you from making a deposit. One quick call out. Many leaders that I've worked with tend to shy away from growth or career conversations because they feel this responsibility to make those promotions or outcomes happen. They feel that if I know this information, now I must make it happen. Well, that is not true. You are not guaranteeing a promotion or any sort of advancement just by having a conversation with them. All that you are doing is just getting to know and understanding where they want to go so you can support them along the way. But there are so many things that factor into promotions and advancement that, again, you cannot guarantee and are not guaranteeing by having this conversation. So if that is your blocker, consider it removed. We are going to return to growth and career conversations in a future episode. So this is another seed that I'm planting. Step 2, assess the balance. Now, I want you to answer the following 3 questions about your team member. What is their primary career goal for the next 12 months? What is one thing they find most draining about their current role? And what is their preferred way to receive feedback? Notice how easily or thoroughly you can answer these. The answers are going to indicate where your current balance might be with this person. And again, it's okay if you struggle to answer these. It just means your account is low and it's time for a deposit. Well, that takes us to step 3, make the deposit. Once you've assessed the balance, schedule a conversation with this person. Your goal is to get clarity on at least one of the 3 questions, truthfully, whichever one makes the most sense for you right now. And remember, I want you to approach this with curiosity, and it's just a conversation. Your goal is to listen, learn, and build trust. And remember, if it's a career conversation, you are not guaranteeing a promotion or advancement. Step 4 is an optional step, but I highly encourage you to leverage your resources, especially if this is your first time having a conversation like this, or you feel a little bit uncomfortable. Remember, you're not alone. You're part of an organization. If your org is large enough and you have a business partner, oh my gosh, that is a great person to reach out to in moments like these. And if your org is a little bit smaller, your own manager, a peer, or a trusted colleague is great to go to role play and get a little bit of feedback. Rehearsing is going to give you the confidence to make this conversation a little bit more real and manageable. Finally, when you're ready, repeat this audit for everyone on your team. Notice where your capital is strong and where accounts may be low, and use that as a roadmap on how you're going to build relationships moving forward. This is not going to be an overnight solution. This is going to take time, dedication, and most importantly, follow through. But I promise you, future you and your team are going to be so happy that you took the time to build relationships. If it wasn't clear by now, how well you've built your relationships is directly tied to how easily you can navigate difficult conversations, manage change, and give feedback. Relationship capital is your ultimate competitive advantage as a leader, and it's exactly what we've been rehearsing today. Up to now, we focus on building capital with your immediate team, but work doesn't happen in a vacuum. To be truly effective, you need relationship capital across the entire organization, and so does your team. So this takes us to our team rehearsal for the week. I want you to take the concept of this relationship bank account back to your team and ask them, is there another department or team in this organization where we feel our relationship capital is low? What is getting in the way, and how might we start making more deposits? Maybe they'll point to finance needing a better understanding of your workflow, or marketing needs more visibility into your wins. Listen carefully to their ideas for making deposits, write it down, and then encourage them to go out there and do it. The goal with this is not to give you more work. The goal here is to introduce this concept to them and help them begin to build and strengthen their capital. Remember, this cannot be lip service. You're inviting your team into this conversation, which means you're also building capital with them. And as we know, if there's no follow through, that capital is going to erode quickly. So I guess the real rehearsal here is the actions that you take afterwards. And with that, we've reached the end of today's episode. Thank you so much for being in rehearsal with me and for committing to the high ROI work of management, which is building relationships. Next week, we're going to talk about radical authenticity, how to bring your whole self into your leadership role without losing your professional edge. We'll explore what it means to lead without the persona. If you enjoyed today's episode, make sure you subscribe so you don't miss future rehearsals. Follow us on Instagram @Leadership Rehearsal and share your questions or experiences in the comments. I'm Alex, and I'll see you at the next rehearsal. Bye.